Well, today's the day when I pick a Supreme Court justice. I have to do this faster than Trump, so that I can get out ahead of him on this particular issue. I am about to name my Supreme Court nominate. As president, I would be nominating a Supreme Court pick. I nominate Nancy Pelosi to be the Supreme Court pick after I get into office, if I ever do. Donald Trump is completely incompetent in responding to the coronavirus. He does not know how to do. I'm taking you for the debate with Trump, okay, son? All right, Dad, I'll do the debate, yes. What do you think of Trump's actions on the coronavirus?
I think that he did act pretty early, and a lot of people told him not to do certain steps. It was kind of a learning curve because we haven't really dealt with anything like that recently.
Well, one way that we could have done it better is a national mask mandate.
Yeah, early, yeah, but I even go to stores now and still see people not wearing their mask.
You know, as president, it would be the perfect time for me to introduce a mask mandate.
Yep, that is correct.
So that way people would be protected from the coronavirus.
You're not fully protected, but yeah, that's a big step to contain all the droplets that could be coming out of your...
I know you're not fully protected, but what it does is it limits the amount of droplets that you could breathe in.
Correct, yep, or exhale. Yep, that would be good.
Now, what do you think about Trump's selection of Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court?
I haven't done much research on her, so I'm not really sure what she's all about, but I'm sure he wouldn't nominate or elect somebody who is going to fail in that position.
Well, what do you think of this particular scenario? Trump decides to nominate her so that he could get away with stealing the election by ultimately he's stopping the vote counts from happening.
No, I don't think he's... I mean, either way, I feel like whoever he's going to nominate will do what's right for the country, and I don't think it's with bad intentions that he elected her. What do you think about it?
Well, his intention is to gain an advantage in the 2020 election.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess I would have to wait and see about that. But what do you feel about mail-in voting?
Well, mail-in voting is a better way of voting during the pandemic because you don't have to come into contact with other humans often.
But it's a huge risk for voter fraud on both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. And they're finding ballots just thrown in ditches and garbage cans right now, and I feel like it's in our best interest to go in person and continue to vote.
What I've read on the news involves them having barcodes on each ballot.
But still, the barcodes would have to make it to the place, you know, if these people are just, I don't know, if these people are, you know, on the opposite side and they just want to take a bunch of people's ballots and just toss them so they don't count. There's just a lot of risks that I don't think we're ready to take.
And of course, the ballot counts would continue until way after election night.
That's true.
And we wouldn't know a winner until possibly weeks later.
That's very true. And who's to say Joe Biden, you, or President Trump would even agree with the outcome because of all the ballots?
Well, there is a way that I wouldn't agree with it, and that'd be you say, hey, if the Russians interfered.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Exterior interests, ulterior motives, and the possibility of, collusion or anything like that.
If the Russians interfere, here, like according to my sources, they've done in 2016, well, they would ultimately undermine our faith in the legitimacy of the election.
That's true. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I hope it wouldn't come to that. What was your next topic?
So the next topic is on the housing crisis.
Yep.
You know, due to this pandemic, the housing prices have fallen as people have struggled to keep up their mortgage payments and rent.
Yeah, the whole housing crisis is just very evil because what's happening is people are getting foreclosed on, filing for bankruptcy, they're losing their home. So all of that money that they put towards that home for, say, 5 years that they lived in it, now is just being thrown out. The bank is taking over that money.
The $5,000 stimulus check would ultimately be able to allow people to keep up their payments for a little while longer.
It would, but if you look at the average rent monthly around here, it's, nearly $1,000 a month, depending on a 2 or 3 bedroom, or, that money doesn't go very far. We need to find out more than just inject the country with money and the system with money. We need to actually figure out something with the banks for them to just put all mortgage payments on the end of, keep rolling it over so that people aren't losing out.
Like a moratorium.
Yes, correct. And just have all the payments that the people missed put on the end of their loan, and that way when they are able to start paying, we would have to put limits on it.
And of course we would have to get these people jobs via the government employment program for testing vaccines.
Yep.
And of course all the people would have to learn how to properly take part in these clinical trials.
Yep, that's true. And another thing that I just thought of, all these people that are out of jobs, it would be nice if the state would hire a bunch of people and just send them out into the woods, start picking up all the debris and trash. Everywhere we go, we find trash. All these people that are sitting around and they want to work and they have no money. The government should hire people to go out and start cleaning up our environment.
That would be a good state program.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, one idea for another federal program is to have a program that takes actions to prevent wildfires, specifically the actions tied to climate change and what humans can do to prevent that.
Yep, I agree. Unfortunately, wildfires are natural and they happen, and sometimes they're for the best of the forest. A lot of dead stuff just sits around and it just turns into one big kindling bundle. But I'll be honest, Antifa this year has been starting a lot of fires in California, and so all of these fires were not just from climate change. There was people going out there and actually setting fires, and those people should be held accountable because I think it was something like 300 million acres were scorched, and that's just terrible. All the wildlife in that area You know, it's not good.
How do you know whether or not they were Antifa, though?
There was reports. I can't cite my source right now. I forget who it was, but I was watching. There was many videos on YouTube and people taking claim. Oh, one guy set a fire. He got caught, was sent to jail or held overnight while they were doing paperwork. Instantly got out and set another fire. That was the main story. Antifa's just no good for either side. They're just out for destruction.
Which news source was it? Because many of the news sources aren't reliable.
That is very true. It was not a mainstream media. Actually, you know, it might have been Wyon. Yeah. But yeah, we should definitely take care of wildfires because that's just destroying homes, wildlife.
What? Why?
Next topic.
And of course, the next topic is how foreign interference could impact the elections. Like foreign governments could meddle in the election by releasing edited tapes of Biden.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I had a lot going on in the background.
Foreign governments could interfere by leaving edited tapes of Biden and releasing them.
Yeah, they could, but they could do that on either side, either party. You know, I think China doesn't want Trump to win because they have a better connection with Biden. So, you know, China would be out there promoting Biden and doing all they can to see that he wins.
Russia, on the other hand, is another adversary that would be intent on making Trump win so that the country could wind up destroyed.
Possibly. I don't know truly what Russia's intentions are.
According to the Mueller report, they've interfered here in the 2016 election by hacking Democratic servers and spreading misinformation.
I did see where they had a lot of ads where it was like running against. It was on Facebook. They overflowed Facebook with, I think it was like fake ads or something like that. I forget all the details about it, but yeah, it's disgusting how foreign affairs and stuff just gets intertwined with elections.
Well, during my presidential run, and I may say that should either me or Biden wind up winning, the success rate of our country would go higher, so to speak.
Well, I hope so, because we're in a time of need, that's for sure.
So, how do you... Let's put it this way. Say that the oil companies are backing Trump, which they could be, to support their own interests.
Yep.
My policy would get America off of fossil fuels in 4 years. They don't want that. What do you think that they would do in response?
You know, honestly, I don't even think getting off of fossil fuels is possible. We are just quite reliant on it. It would be nice to dwindle it down a little bit. But I just don't think ultimately it's possible to come off of fossil fuels. You're gonna destroy a lot of jobs.
And of course those jobs would be made up for by the government employment program him for testing these new vaccines.
Yeah, but not everybody wants to be a guinea pig. Not everybody wants to be stuck with a needle to see whether or not they did well. That's tough. That's tough. I would say, yeah, come off of fossil fuels a little bit, but it's got to stay around. We got to keep it around.
And of course, horse afterwards, they'd be trained to adapt to the new energy sources anyway.
It would be nice to do some sort of solar panel deal. Give everybody, X amount of dollars off solar panels so that people could switch over to solar.
Why not include that? Who's that in the next stimulus after?
That would be nice, but I think they have so many eggs in their basket right now. They're really just worried about the economy. They got to somehow inject a lot of money into the economy. Otherwise, we're heading for a disaster.
My $5,000 stimulus check idea here was a good idea here, but to improve upon it, we would need to subsidize solar panels.
I think, yep, and I think even if we did $5,000 cash to every household, and then also say like $1,000 or $2,000, just like a card that you can only spend on groceries or at grocery stores. That would help out families in need. Of course, all these food pantries are just being overwhelmed, so they can hardly even keep food on their shelves because people they're in need. They need every little bit of assistance that they can right now.
Not many people have the resources to buy food anymore.
Correct. And I'll be honest, in the beginning, everybody panicked, and they went and panic bought, and they spent a bunch of money on stocking up on stuff. Well, that stockpile is dwindling fast, and unfortunately, I hope this is not true, but I heard in the fall and winter months that the lockdowns are going to be enforced again. I hope it doesn't happen.
Well, during the winter, there will be flu who's spreading around as well as COVID.
That's right. So you'll get the double whammy, and it's going to be hard to. Everybody's going to wonder, is this flu or is this COVID? And everybody's going to be wanting to go to the hospital and get tested and checked, and yeah, it's a huge mess.
Well, one way to resolve this would be to invoke the Defense Production Act and increase coronavirus test production that way.
That would be nice to stock up on all of our essential medical needs and bring them back to the country. No more relying on other countries to provide our own medicines and medical equipment. That would create a lot of jobs here.
Like we could have American factories producing the medical equipment, and during this pandemic in direct proportion with my government vaccine testing program.
That's right. Hey. And that's all the time I have for today. Until next time.
Thank you, Eric. I am on my way back now. So I'm ultimately now going after Trump. Donald Trump has proven completely inept in governing, so when I debate him, things like the way he reacts will be completely he determined by his ignorance of how he does. He is completely ignorant on how he is supposed to do things. Now to begin the debate. Mr. Trump, what do you think about the effects of climate change?
I feel that the United States has tremendous wealth. The wealth is under its feet. I've made that wealth come alive. We will soon be exporting. In fact, we're actually doing it now, exporting. But we are now the #1 energy producer in the world, and soon it will be by far, with a couple of pipelines that have not been able to get approved for many, many years. It'll have a huge impact. I was able to get ANWR in Alaska, could be the largest site in the world for oil and gas. I was able to get ANWR approved. Ronald Reagan wasn't able to do it. Nobody was able to do it. They've been trying to do it since before Ronald Reagan. I got it approved. We're the #1 energy producer in the world. Soon it will be by far the #1. It's tremendous wealth, and LNG is being sought after all over Europe and all over the world, and we have more of it than anybody else. And I'm not going to lose that wealth. I'm not going to lose it on dreams, on windmills, which, frankly, aren't working too well. I'm not going to lose it. So, Josh, in a nutshell, I want the cleanest water on earth. I want the cleanest air on earth. And that's what we're doing. And I'm an environmentalist. A lot of people don't understand that. I have done more environmental impact statements probably than anybody that's, I guess I can say definitely, because I've done many, many, many of them, more than anybody that's ever been president or vice president or anything even close to president. And I think I know more about the environment than most people. I want clean air. I want clean water. I want a wealthy country.
Climate change is affected by the release of CO2 into the atmosphere caused by human and manufacturing of products and other stuff that's important for the world. However, we do need to find a cleaner way to do it. With the manufacturing.
At the same time, you weren't called. At the same time, it's very important to me, we have to maintain this incredible place that we've all built. We've become a much richer country, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing, because that great wealth allows us to take care of people. We can take care of people that we couldn't have taken care of in the past because of the great wealth.
Mr. Trump, you may not believe this, but climate change is real. It is a problem, and your policies have made it even worse.
She is a disaster. She's going to be a disaster, I think, for their party.
One thing that we could do to fix your policies on climate change is ultimately you rewrite them to be more favorable to environmentalists and use the Defense Production Act to produce solar panels. However, your party may not agree with this, Mr. Trump.
She is a disaster. She's going to be a disaster, I think, for their party.
Mr. Trump, your handling of the coronavirus pandemic was incompetent. You did not know how to do a single thing correctly, although you admitted that you knew the virus was deadly. Why didn't you listen to your experts?
So we're going to North Carolina. We have a packed place, and it's going to be, I think, very exciting, as it was last night in Minnesota. That was an incredible event. We have some very big news on TikTok. TikTok is moving along. We're dealing with Oracle, which you know of, Larry Ellison, and we're dealing with, as a combination, Walmart. Walmart, a great company, great American company. The security will be 100%. They'll be using separate clouds and a lot of very, very powerful security. and they'll be making about a $5 billion contribution toward education. We're going to be setting up a very large fund toward the education of American youth. And that'll be great. That's their contribution that I've been asking for. But we'll see whether or not it all happens. But conceptually, I think it's a great deal for America. They'll be hiring at least 25,000 people. It'll most likely be incorporated in Texas. It'll be a brand new company. It will have nothing to do with any outside land, any outside country. It will have nothing to do with China. It'll be totally secure. That'll be part of the deal, and that will be both Oracle, as you know, and Walmart. And I think it's going to be a fantastic deal. The technology is superior to anything in the world, and we like that. And again, a lot of jobs, a lot of money for our country. Billions of dollars of taxes will be paid every year, and hundreds of millions of users, and they'll be happy. So everybody will be happy. It's a severance. It'll continue to be named TikTok as it was all along, and that's it. That's it. So I can say that I have given the deal my blessing. If they get it done, that's great. If they don't, that's okay too. But it's a great deal for America. And
Mr. Trump, you do know that your rallies are super spreader events, right?
very interesting.
Do you approve the deal?
I approve the deal in concept, yes. Well, we'll see what happens. We'll be talking to people soon. We have great respect for the process. This has happened numerous times, and every time there was a nominee, as you know. There's been many occasions where, frankly, it turned out to be during a presidential year. I think I heard 28, but whatever it may be. But in all cases, they went forward. But we want to respect the process, and the process will move. I think it's going to move very quickly, actually. I agree with the statement put out by Mitch McConnell. I agree with it actually 100%. I put out a very similar statement, you saw. So I think we're going to start the process extremely soon, and we'll have a nominee very soon.
Would you like to nominate a woman?
Say it? Well, they're going to report the full scope of the deal very soon. Very soon. But it'll be totally controlled by Oracle and Walmart. All of the control is Walmart and Oracle, two great American companies. And you have the combination of the Walmart, that's obvious, and the high tech of Oracle and the genius of the two leaders of those companies. Okay?
Sir, on TikTok, sir.
Who said that? Well, I totally disagree with her. We have an obligation. We won, and we have an obligation as the winners to pick who we want. That's not the next president. Hopefully I'll be the next president. But we're here now. Right now we're here. And we have an obligation to the voters, all of the people, the millions of people that put us here in the form of a victory. We have an obligation to them, to all of those voters. And it's a very simple thing. So I would disagree. If that's what she said, that's not the way I read it. I read it differently. But if that's what she said, I totally disagree.
How many people are on your short list? Do you have a short list?
I do. I have a short list. I've had a short list for a while. We added a number of people onto the list, the previous list. We have about 45 altogether. I do indeed have a short list. I've gotten to know many of them. I think it's probably, from a legal standpoint, from a sophisticated understanding of the law, from a constitutional standpoint, I think it's the greatest list ever assembled. And I think that the other side should show their radical left list, and I think you'll be surprised.
What do you think about Tony Barrett? A lot of people think she's the front runner.
Well, she's very highly respected, I can say that.
Would you like the nominee to be a woman?
I could see most likely it would be a woman. Yeah, I think I can say that. It would be a woman. I would, if somebody were to ask me now, I would say that a woman would be in first place, yes. The choice of a woman, I would say, would certainly be appropriate. Say it?
Barbara Lagoa.
She's an extraordinary person. I've heard incredible things about her. I don't know her. She's Hispanic and highly respected. Miami, highly respected.
President Obama's pick in 2016, Merrick Garland, had a chance to move forward. That was an election year. Why should her pick get a chance to move forward in the election?
Well, that's called the consequences of losing an election. He lost the election. He didn't have the votes. When you lose elections, sometimes things don't work out well. And by the way, I have to say this, that Judge Garland is highly respected. I have a lot of respect for him. I do. I have a lot of respect for him. But it's the consequences of an election.
Do you expect a vote before the election or after?
Well, I don't know. We're working with all of the Republican senators and working with Mitch McConnell, and we'll be making a decision. I would think before would be very good, but we'll be making a decision. I think the process can go very, very fast. I'll be making my choice soon, and when the choice is made, I'll be sending it over to Mitch and the Senate, and they will do what they have to do. I think we'll have a very popular choice, whoever it may be, but we'll be sending it over to the Senate. Okay? I think the choice will be next week. Yes, I do. I do. Okay? So we'll see you, some of you in North Carolina, okay? Thank you very much.
Mr. Trump, the stopgap funding bill will be passed soon. What do you think of that?
Could be, very much. I think that the last person Russia wants to see in office is Donald Trump, because nobody's been tougher on Russia than I have ever.
That's not
well, I don't care.
Mr. Trump, who will your Supreme Court pick be and why?
Unemployment numbers the best in the history of our country. All things, and many other groups too, including women, including high school diploma, no high school diploma, college diploma. Everybody was doing better. The last thing that Russia wants, and China wants, and Iran wants would be for Donald Trump to win. Yes, please.
Just to follow up, what do you plan to do about that interference, sir?
Well, we're going to look at it very closely. You tell me that this came out a little while ago, and I've heard that it came out. It came out just a little while ago, and we're going to look at that very closely. But you started off with Russia. Why don't you start off with China? Do you think China's maybe a bigger threat? I mean, I think maybe it is. I mean, you'll have to figure it out. But we're going to watch all of them. We have to be very careful. The biggest risk that we have is mail-in ballots, because with the mail-in ballots, called universal mail-in ballots, it is a much easier thing for a foreign power, whether it's Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, many others, people, countries you wouldn't expect. It's much easier for them to forge ballots and send them in. It's much easier for them to cheat with universal mail-in ballots. So I think one of the things we'll have to look at is exactly that. But that's a big problem. That's a big problem. You saw in New York they called the winner, but they have no idea what the vote is.
Well, Mr. Trump, I chose Pelosi as my Supreme Court pick. And as for why I chose Pelosi, is that she is capable of effectively reading and interpreting the law. Mr. Trump, I've noticed how you project your own weaknesses onto others, like calling someone low IQ when you think that about yourself. It's because of your narcissistic personality disorder, correct?
I don't. I'm very consistent. I'm a very stable genius.
If you're openly denying how narcissistic you are, Trump, you must not even recognize it. Thank you, Mr. Trump.